expected that, in the very first hours of their lives, the tiger cubs would find themselves in such an unusual situation. Although their mother had given birth to a healthy litter, it was her first time raising cubs, and she had no idea how to care for them. She didn't know how to nurse them or understand that their constant cries were a desperate sign of hunger. As the hours passed, the cubs' tiny stomachs remained empty. Without the vital first milk from their mother, their soft cries became louder and more frequent. Huddled together, they instinctively searched for milk, but found none. Realizing the cubs would have little chance of surviving without immediate help, the animal care staff knew they had to step in. What happened next was something few could have imagined. The first true mother to nourish and care for these newborn tiger cubs was not another tiger, but a nursing dog that had recently given birth to her own puppies. To give the newborn tiger cubs the best chance of survival, the caretakers introduced a gentle female Labrador that had recently given birth and was producing plenty of milk. They hoped she might accept the cubs as her own. At first, the Labrador seemed unsure. She carefully sniffed the unfamiliar babies, hesitating for a few moments as if trying to understand who they were. After all, they looked and smelled different from her own puppies. But it didn't take long for her maternal instincts to take over. She gently lay down beside the cubs, allowing them to nurse. One by one, the hungry little tigers latched on and finally received the nourishment they desperately needed. From that moment on, the Labrador treated the tiger cubs as if they were her own offspring. She patiently fed them, kept them warm by curling her body around them, and carefully licked their tiny faces clean after every feeding. Thanks to her gentle care and unwavering acceptance, the fragile cubs were finally able to begin their journey of growing up healthy and strong. In addition to the milk provided by their adoptive mother, the caretakers carefully supplemented the tiger cubs' diet with specially formulated milk to ensure they received all the nutrients they needed. Every feeding was measured, every meal carefully prepared, and their growth was closely monitored day after day. Surrounded by constant care, the tiny cubs began to grow stronger with each passing day. The fragile newborns that had once spent nearly all their time resting inside a warm nursery enclosure gradually transformed before everyone's eyes. Their eyes slowly opened, revealing clear, curious gazes as they experienced the world for the very first time. Meanwhile, their coats became darker and more vibrant, and the distinctive tiger stripes grew sharper with each passing week. Still timid and unfamiliar with their surroundings, the cubs often stayed close together, looking like little balls of fluff following anyone they trusted. They would stumble around on their tiny paws before curling up beside the warm body of their canine mother or seeking comfort from the hands of the caretakers who had raised them since birth. Although they were born to a tiger, These cubs were fortunate enough to grow up surrounded by the love of two devoted mothers, one who nourished them with her milk and another who cared for them tirelessly every single day. Together, they gave the cubs the warmth, protection, and affection they needed to begin life with a chance to thrive.
我就拖着他。拜拜，睡觉，拜拜，睡觉。
然后整个我们所有的宝。
回家，回家，不要在泥里玩，回家。
As the days passed, the gentle Labrador did far more than simply feed the tiger cubs. She became a constant companion, spending every day playing with them, grooming them, and watching over them as they explored the world around them. To the cubs, she wasn't just an adoptive mother. She was their mother in every sense. Wherever she went, the little tigers eagerly followed close behind. If she disappeared from sight for even a moment, they would wander around anxiously, searching every corner until they found her again. Their happiest moments came when they finally caught up to her. They would run straight into her embrace, pressing their tiny bodies against her and refusing to let go, as if nothing in the world felt safer than being close to the mother who had raised them. Under her loving care, the cubs grew stronger and more confident each day. Their playful wrestling became rougher as their natural instincts emerged. Sometimes they would challenge the young lions nearby, turning innocent games into noisy scuffles. Whenever things became too intense, the Labrador would calmly step between them. With a gentle bite on the scruff or a soft nudge, she would pull the tiger cub back, silently telling it that enough was enough. The young tiger would often resist, clearly unhappy about being interrupted, but despite its frustration, it never once tried to hurt the mother that had cared for it since birth. Instead, the Labrador would respond with the same patience she had shown from the very beginning. She would nuzzle the cub, gently lick its face, and shower it with quiet affection, as if reminding it of a simple truth that never changed. No matter how big you become, you will always be my child, and I will always love you.
兄弟们，你们看，这两只狗，啊，不对，这两只老虎居然在喝这个狗奶。
This extraordinary story reminds us that motherhood is not defined by species, appearance, or bloodline. It is defined by love, patience, and the willingness to protect another life without expecting anything in return. The Labrador never gave birth to these tiger cubs, yet she gave them exactly what they needed most: a mother's warmth, comfort, and unconditional care during the most fragile days of their lives. As the tiger cubs grew into powerful predators, they never forgot the gentle dog that had raised them. The bond they shared proved that trust and affection can cross even the greatest boundaries in nature. Sometimes the strongest family is not the one we are born into, but the one that chooses to love us. And perhaps that is the most beautiful lesson this remarkable story leaves behind.
Oh 呦，不得了咦，不得了咦！哎呀，我天哪！看一看，什么叫实力？这就叫实力啊！看见没？哎呀，这个拉布拉多妈妈哇，带了这么多宝宝，这不得了嘞！
你怎么信的让狗带老虎的？这是不是刚生出来，完了就放在这狗这儿了？
它得什么呀？狗也得有奶呀，没有奶也不行啊。
对。
哎呀呀呀，这老虎咋混的？咋的跟着拉布拉多混了？这有奶便是娘是吧？哎呀，你这整的，哎这整的，哎呀，多喝点啊，喝点，长大一点，长得太快了吧？这才2个月啊！哎，这个虎宝宝一天一天的长大了啊，看见没？长得多快，才2个多月，马上比他妈妈还大了。哎呦我天哪，还喝奶呢，该吃肉了啊！呵呵，每天都给小老虎准备点肉吃了，长得太快了。哇哦，哇，这母子俩长得好像哟，看见没？哎呀，这个拉布拉多带2个小宝宝，哎呀，还舔他妈妈呢，看见没？哎呀，这小老虎老可爱了，哎呀，这拉布拉多妈妈，哎，带2小宝，这只老虎居然在喝狗奶，拉布拉多，哎呀，哎呀，哎呀呀呀呀呀，看见没？看见没？哎呀，这相处的也太好了吧！这老虎居然不吃狗哎，不得了哎！这狗狗有前途哎！
这，这。哎，在那。哎呀！